Okay, good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. It is now 7 o'clock on Thursday, June 13th. I make a motion to call the meeting to order. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first order of business, the adoption of the minutes from May 9th. Be it resolved, the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to adopt the following meeting minutes, May 9th, 2024. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
Abstain.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, and that brings us to Jamie.
Okay, thank you. The financials as of May 31st, 2024, present a net budget surplus of approximately $55,000. The surplus is lower than normal due to May having 3 payrolls and an adjustment that was made to the tracking of our fire equipment and capital outlay account. This account is almost 100% encumbered by the Pierce Enforcer pumper that we're anticipated to have delivered in 2026. So I just changed the way we were tracking that, which is why that number looks lower. There are, at this point in time, there are at least 5 accounts where we know we are going to need budget transfers. I plan to propose transfers at the August meeting, so we'll just keep an eye on those. They're listed here for the board's reference. The main items for tonight, we did resume our investments in Treasury Direct since we received our tax collection in May. The rates remain around 5.3%, so they're holding steady. We currently have about $12 million that's back invested in Treasury Direct. Probably will max that out at about $15 million. We'll monitor that as the year goes on and keep our eye on those interest rates. We have finished our field work with our auditors. We just this week received our draft financials, so I'm taking a review of those, and then I will have those for the board's review as well. Tonight we have, for the board's review, it's already been provided to the board, we have 2 proposals for our workers' compensation renewal. So last week, 2 of the board members and myself and the chief met with our broker to go over the 2 proposals that were received. One of them is from our current carrier, and one is from Comp Alliance. The proposal from our current carrier, PERMA, came in at the lower rate. The cost of their proposal for the current year is $230,815. That is actually lower than what we paid for the expiring policy year, which is notable considering that our salaries are going up, which is the basis for our rate, and also our loss ratio went up for the period under review. So according to our brokers, they were able to negotiate them down to this lower rate. Also, they've offered us a year 2 option that we can lock into now. That is also in a range of anywhere from $201,000 to $220,000, depending on our loss ratio at the end of this year. The quote from Comp Alliance, which would be a new provider we have never used in the past, came in higher at $248,034. The last time we renewed with PERMA, we did the 2-year option. It was the first time we did it. I think it was successful. It's great for budgeting purposes. We don't have to go through an audit each year, and we do get the benefit of, we don't get an increase based on our salaries increasing, which they likely will year over year. But as has been explained to the board, if for whatever reason the board wanted to break that contract with PERMA, there were incredibly unhappy with the service or something went terribly wrong, there would be a penalty for breaking the contract. They said it would be like 10% of the highest premium that was remaining on the policy at the time that the board decided to break the policy. So those are the options. The board has been presented with a proposal. The renewal date is July 1st, so the board would either need to make a motion at tonight's meeting or have a special meeting prior to July 1st. And then the last item is, again, just upcoming budget planning. We're getting to that time of year that we need to start talking about what items the board is looking at for 2025, Chief, you as well. Any kind of major expenditures that the board envisions, any major changes that they're looking to make. As you know, we exceeded the tax cap last year. We exceeded it the year before as well. We are typically, held to a 2% tax cap. The board does have the ability to override it. Last year, we had the ability, our 2% tax cap was actually more like 3.3% because the retirement system contributions were so high that there was an exclusion, so we were able to increase it a little bit higher. That gave us about $680,000 that we were able to increase the budget without going over. So that's something to keep in mind. We're talking about an increase of like $400,000 to $680,000 without exceeding the tax cap. When we look at just our general operating costs for overtime, hospital, insurance, our terminal leave, and our retirement system costs, that probably eats that up. So that's kind of where we need to start from when we start talking about what we want to do for next year. Also, this hasn't been the case in a while, but going into 2025, unless something changes between now and then, will be one of the first years we're going into without a negotiated contract. So at this time, or like even into the budget season, so we don't have necessarily like firm understanding of what kind of impact that's going to have on our salary lines, on our benefit lines. So I would like to, start getting feedback from the board on what you guys are looking at for next year so we can start planning accordingly.
Do you recall, was it $500,000 last year that the liability came in more than we expected for the pension?
That what?
What was the increase last year that we weren't planning on for the pension? Was it about 500,000?
Yeah.
So with this year, with the market performing better than last year, do we think we have no idea, of course, but when do we find out what the liability will be?
We find out between when we adopt the proposed budget and when we adopt the final budget.
Okay.
It comes in right exactly at that time.
So it's in the fall, okay, that's what
Yeah,
I thought.
and then the healthcare does not come in until December,
Okay.
so.
And the number we have, well, the number we're going to budget for next year is going to be last year's number, hopefully? Do we know what we're going to do yet for that number?
For
Next year's,
For healthcare or for the pension?
for pension?
I don't know. I mean, we might, by then, we might know we might get some relief from our bases going down, like our Tier 2 base going down and our Tier 6 base going up, because we do pay less on our Tier 6 base. But I think we will have to account for some type of increase.
Okay. Right. I'm good, thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie. Well done.
Chief?
Good evening, Commissioner. Good evening. And good evening to the public. Alarm activity, 347 calls for the month of May. 3 were fire-related, 173 were EMS or rescue-related, and there were no mutual aid given or received for the month, which is unusual. The North End Firehouse has a rear roof that needs repair. The board has been presented with 2 quotes to repair the roof and remove the water-damaged basement ceiling. The lower of the 2 quotes is for $8,500 from Master Building and Contracting LLC, Bronx, New York. I asked the board to authorize me to sign off on the proposal so we can have the repairs completed. We have an old hazmat Ford bus. It's a 1997. Ford handicap bus that was given to us to use for hazmat responses and rescue responses, technical rescue responses. It's no longer needed. It needs quite a bit of work, and we've actually taken all the equipment out of it because it's unreliable. Westchester County is in the process of providing a replacement box truck for all our hazmat equipment. So I asked the board's authorization to surplus the bus on Auctions International website and release it to the highest bidder after the winner pays for the auction. The 3 probationary firefighters in the Career Academy are continuing their training. Vehicle and equipment maintenance is being done in-house as much as possible by part-time mechanic Hank Henninger. Training continues on the new Pierce Tower Ladder 17. The new truck should go in service in a few weeks, and it'll be stationed at the North End Firehouse. And mechanic Hank Henninger's report for May was emailed to the board on June 5th. Tim Dalton's weekly maintenance reports for May were also emailed to the board on June 5th. B&B Construction has completed their construction project at the Chester Heights Firehouse. They repaired the air conditioning that had an issue, and we've been monitoring for about a month, and we have no further issues with it. It seems to be working properly. So in tonight's warrant is the approximately $90,000 for the final payment for B&B Construction for the Chester Heights work. And on May 8th, Master Building and Contracting installed the new front door at the Chester Heights Firehouse. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections, and fire prevention reports for May were emailed to the board on June 4th. Currently, there are 2 members out on long-term absence, and 1 member is assigned to light duty and is working with ESONG on digitizing the fire prevention records. The 5 high school seniors are winding down their internships and will soon be graduating high school. I wish them all the best of luck. It seemed to be a good program this year. We still have 3 that are continuing for another week or finishing up this week. Maybe 1 or 2 are coming back in on Monday or Tuesday. But they're all pretty much done with their WISE program for the year, and wish them well with their future endeavors. I believe there will be a vacancy in the captain ranks before the next board meeting, so I request the board to authorize Treasurer Jamie Hedstrom to request the promotional lists for captain and lieutenant from Westchester County Department of Human Resources. And finally, I would like to offer my congratulations to my friend and firefighter James Rockhill on his retirement effective May 30th, 2024. Jay began his career with the Eastchester Fire District as a volunteer firefighter with the Union Corners Engine and Hose Company on November 8, 1984. He was issued badge 1719. He was appointed as a career firefighter on February 9, 1991, and issued badge 135. Jay served the residents of Eastchester Fire District for over 39 years of combined service. I wish him a long and healthy retirement, and that's the end of my report.
Thanks, Chief. I know Jay loved being a fireman,
Yeah.
so I'm sure it was a tough decision for him. Okay. Isan, please.
Sure. Commissioners, for community outreach in May on social media, we had 3 posts on our social media platforms. Just a note for the email addresses, I know we discussed it before that we're going to be changing the email addresses to the .gov ending. This is in an effort to address the increasing threat of digital fraud involving fake websites and fraudulent emails. So the Eastchester Fire District is enhancing its online security by updating its email addresses. Just a note for the public, the target date is July 1st, and the email addresses will transition from eastchesterfd.com to eastchesternyfd.gov. During the transition period, emails sent to eastchesterfd.com will still be received, and responses will come from the new eastchesternyfd.gov addresses. This change aims to increase the online security and build greater trust with the community. You can always contact our office if you have any questions or concerns. For our website, there's ongoing updates to the website, and I'm still reviewing social media records retention options. We're continuing to post notices about fire hydrant flushing in the community, so you could always check up on our website for up-to-date information on that. And I'm continuing to collaborate with Chief Tween on the mid-year report for the Eastchester Fire District. For foils, we received 1 foil in May. For records, we disposed of the obsolete records from 2023 on May 16, 2024 at the county facility. Ongoing projects with the records is just continuing to work on loose records, scanning projects, and reviewing 2023 records to prepare them for transfer to Station 3. And I also attended the Office of U.S. Senator Gillibrand's Government Resources for Post-Disaster Assistance Workshop. That was on Tuesday, May 28th. So I was able to get a few more resources and ideas from there, and other office tasks as needed. So thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. All right, so before we go into the next subject, which is payment of bills, I'd like to knock off the chief's two requests. One is for the Hazmat Squad 5 Ford bus that we want to put onto auction. So I'd like to make that
Auctions
motion.
International, yeah.
Yeah, Auctions National. So I'd like to make that motion to allow the chief to move forward with that. Can I get a second? All right.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Commissioner Keating.
Yes.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And with respect to the roof at Station 5, we do have two quotes here, as the chief mentioned. The lower quote is from Master Building and Contracting, so that came in at $8,500. So I'd like to also authorize the chief to move forward with that, with Master Building, and to get that going. And also I'll make that motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Commissioner Keating.
Yes.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And with respect to the lieutenant and captain lists, these two here, so be it resolved that each of the Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Treasurer Jamie Hedstrom to request the lieutenant hiring list from Civil Service. Be resolved that each of the Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Secretary Marissa Esong to canvass. We're going to hold off on canvassing.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, just right now, we're going to just get the list from Civil Service. So that's for the lieutenant and for captain. Also, I'll knock them off at the same time. Be resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners also authorizes Jamie Hedstrom to request the fire captain hiring list from Civil Service. So both of those, I'd like to get a second on those lists, and that be motions, those motions.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Commissioner Keating.
Yes.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So
Just so everyone understands, I can't request the captain list
until, right,
until I'm notified of.
yeah, it's, right, okay,
The
so,
lieutenant list I can because we have an open position.
right, so we may have to redo this one again next month, once we know if something does happen. All right, so we're gonna shelve the captain one, I apologize, we're just gonna go with the lieutenant right now.
Well, you can authorize her to do it, and then if we
Yes,
get
we can-
formal
we can-
notification in a week or two or three, then she can request it. So I wouldn't hold off to the next meeting. I would authorize her to do it, but she's not going to do it until she gets that formal request.
I just want to be clear of timing. Okay, so that's fine. All right, okay, good. I think, Chief, we're done now with, that's everything you had, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. That moves us to payment of bills. Be it resolved, the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with 2 sets of bills and 1 credit card bill. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant number 1 dated 6/13/24 for $515,895.47. Warrant number 2 dated 6/13/24 for $91,978.00. And a credit card bill dated 6/18/24 for $3,046.20 for a total of $610,937.67. Can I get a second?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Commissioner Keating.
No.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And now we have that one. We're going to do the resolution for the workers' comp renewal. If this is for a permit 2-year renewal, which I think makes the most sense since it worked out well over the last 2 years, and by not having to go out every year for RFP, I think it worked in our favor this year for a 2-year deal. So I make a motion to renew the workers' comp policy with PERMA for the 2-year period of 7/1/24 through 6/30/26 at the following cost. Year 1, $230,815.00, which includes a 2% discount for paying in full prior to 7/1/24, and an expected dividend of $2,457. Payment due by 7/1/24 is $233,362, and the dividend of $2,457 will be received at a later date in the policy year. Year 2, costs can range between $219,745 and $239,055, depending on the loss ratio in Year 1, which includes the New York State Workers' Comp assessment of $18,070, which is an estimate of this at this time. The total cost of the 2-year period estimated to range between $450,560 and $469,870. A short rate penalty assumed to be 10% of the prorated amount left on the highest premium from the 2-year quote will apply if the fire district terminates the agreement prior to 6/30/26. Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Call the roll. Commissioner Sarasi?
Aye.
Commissioner Loring?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Keating?
Yes.
Commissioner Carla?
Aye.
Motion carried.
That brings us to other business. We discussed we're not going to have lieutenant promotion at this time. We're just going to ask for the list. And we just take care of the workers' comp renewal. So we're done there. That brings us to letting the public know that our next board meeting will be July 11th at Town Hall here. And then that brings us to comments from Local 916.
Good evening. Joe Costanzo, President Local 916. Another month, another retirement. So I just want to again echo the Chief's comments. Congratulations to Jay Rockhill on his career, his 32 years of service with Local 916. We appreciate everything. We're going to miss him, and congratulations. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Comments from the public? Yes, Michael.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Mike.
Good evening.
Parisi, 16 Lockwood Avenue. Chester Heights looks really well. It's really come together. The firehouse shines. I'm sure the firefighters are real happy being there. But just one question I'd like to ask. On the right-hand side, you have that old gong.
Mm-hmm.
You have tape that's falling apart. What's the story with that?
So the 6x6 that's going across the top is kind of bowing in the middle. Timmy was going to replace it, but I thought maybe an engineer should look at it, because if we do it and then it falls on somebody, it's, it was just our maintenance guy doing it. So we were going to have like an engineer possibly, see if that's adequate support. So, there are a lot of kids that are in that area because of the ball field. So I just didn't want them to just put up another 6x6 and not have it properly supported, because it looks extremely heavy. My understanding is it's an old locomotive, rim that goes around the wheels on the tracks. So for right now, we just don't want anybody to go near it. I don't think it's in imminent danger of falling, but you can definitely see that the cross piece up top has, has aged. Yeah, it's kind of splintered and stuff. So.
Okay, but if you notice, the security tape around it is down.
Yeah, we can make sure the guys
Just no-
do that.
No pun intended, maybe take a piece of yellow or orange fencing and contain it.
Yeah, we
So
could
no
maybe
child-
get some of the sawhorses or something from the highway department
So
to,
no child goes near it,
sure,
put a sign
sure.
up, Unsafe condition, stay away.
Yeah, we just don't want anybody like sitting on it. Like you used to see people or 2 or 3 kids sitting on it, so yeah, so we're gonna address that.
All right, thank you, and
Okay.
want to wish everybody who's a father on the board, happy Father's Day, and much health to come. Thank
You
you.
too, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
So could I don't know, we have to discuss Station 3. Commissioner Ranalone and I met with the engineer at the site, and it seems like we keep moving the bar on what we want to do there initially, and we've entered into a contract with the engineers from Highland Associates to design the floor repair. And that was, $34,000 or whatever it is. They're going to prepare the bid documents and all the engineering and architectural work and anything that needs to be done for the building department. They don't believe that that kicks in ADA upgrades because it's a repair. The building department seems to think it does because we're making the floor stronger than what it was. If we did it at the exact same weight loading, they don't feel that it would. But our architects are willing, they prepared a letter to give to the building department to argue that they feel, based on the current building code from 2020, that it doesn't kick in ADA upgrades. Anything else we do, if we square off the archway, that will kick in bathroom renovations and entrance ramps and all that kind of stuff for ADA upgrades, similar to what we had to do at the Chester Heights Firehouse. And then it was even mentioned that maybe even doing more work than that. So I just need a little guidance. And we told Highland Associates that we would get an opinion from the board on what direction we want to do. So we thought, you know, maybe we would have a plan A, and if that doesn't work out, then we would have a plan B, which would just be minimal, replace the floor. So I don't know if Commissioner Ratalone wants to comment on what we discussed. And, you know, I kind of need a little guidance from the board on what to tell Highland Associates to do going forward, because they actually have put their work on pause, because if we do change the scope of work, it's going to, you know, increase what we're doing. So,
Right, basically, we told them two plans. One, like the chief said, would be to take up the first 3/4 of the floor back to basically where the entrance to the kitchen is in the back. And then, you know, shore up in the basement and put a new floor in. But in addition to that, and I think this should be, unless it was already done, what we should do is also square off the arch and make it as wide as possible, because the truck, the ladder 16, which is currently running out of the shop at the rear of headquarters, cannot stay there. New Street is a narrow street. It has to go out onto Hillside Jackson Avenue, which is another narrow street. And especially during the winter or inclement weather, it's very difficult to maneuver that truck to get it, you know, out onto wherever it has to go, White Plains Road, Belvedere Road, wherever, or Main Street. So my idea was to put the ladder as well as the engine in Station 3 and run those 2 rigs out of there with a lieutenant, ultimately with a lieutenant and 4 firefighters manning that station. So that would be the minimum work that I would say we have to do. The other proposal would be to fill in the basement, find out what the setbacks are to that building, knock down the building, and build the maximum length and width that we can in order to accommodate not only the engine 29 and ladder 16, but also the 2 spare rigs that we have, the engine and the truck behind them. According to the representative from Bronxville Building Department who was there, he said you can easily come out another 20 feet in the front if you had to. And as far as the width, he wasn't sure about that. But, and also you can extend it to the back as well, where the parking lot is now. So that's what I would suggest, is that we knock down the current Station 3, build a 1-story on grade. The assistant chief was there, and he had seen pictures of the Peekskill Firehouse, and they have a 1-story, and in the rear, they have a mezzanine area that you can go up to, and they can do training up there for bailout systems. You can put storage up in that area, and as far as everything else, the dormitory, the kitchen, the day room, and all that would be on the first floor.
Also a meeting room too? We have room for a meeting room if you needed something?
The mezzanine probably could be made big enough where you could have a classroom, or a small meeting room if necessary.
Isn't the second floor used now for?
It's used by the union for their meeting room.
and we use it for training. We do
Yeah,
our CME
right.
training up there, because it's a big room, so we do.
Well, it's very big, it's very bigger than what we need.
Yeah, it's like the size, bigger than this room probably.
Upstairs.
Yeah, the
in
second
Bronxville.
floor at Bronxville,
Yeah.
where we do interviews and stuff some
It's
occasions.
nice,
And we would
it's
save
a nice
some money.
room.
Yeah, well, the issue is that the current firehouse was built in 1947, so it needs some work done, right? And especially if he's talking about putting more firefighters in there, we need to renovate the dorm room, maybe take over part of the meeting room so we have additional dorm room space. Again, if we're going to do, anything but just the floor, we're going to have to do ADA upgrades to the bathrooms and the entrance, I think in the back, there's a little 4-inch step to come in. That would have to have a ramp. That's front door. I think there's a little step up as well. So, we would have to do upgrades. And if I remember correctly, when we did Chester Heights, the ADA upgrades have to be 20% of the project. So if we just do the floor based upon the pricing of Chester Heights, which was, before COVID, I would say the floor is probably going to be a $2 to $3 million project, and it'll probably take 6 months to a year to do. If we do a brand new firehouse, it's going to be 10 to 15 million based upon like Yonkers doing their firehouse and other departments. And so we would have to go out to bond. We may even have to go out to bond for 2 to 3 million because we don't have that kind of reserves in our bank. So you're talking about, bond attorneys and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have to do something because the floor is, becoming a problem. Our engineers are going to declare it unsafe in the near future if we don't do something. It was a temporary fix by putting shoring in the basement 15 years ago, and they're like, this is a temporary fix, it's time to fix it because the concrete is deteriorating. So, we have to do something. Like I said, if we do the bare minimum, the firehouse is going to be closed the least amount of time, but it doesn't allow us to put a ladder truck down there. We would just be able to keep 2 engines down there. So it doesn't consolidate the membership like Commissioner Ranalone suggested. So, it's like we could do Plan B, like have them design a new firehouse, but we would have to have meetings to tell Highland Associates what to design. Like we want to do a 1-story building or a 2-story building, with an elevator and whatever. So that's the kind of guidance. Like, I don't know if you want to have a special meeting with Highland Associates. So, just like a straw poll, would commissioners be, more in favor to just doing the bare minimum to keep the firehouse as it is, or leaning towards, full upgrades and, tearing it down and building a new firehouse?
As I said that day with Highland Associates there, I don't want to build a firehouse for today. I want to build one for tomorrow. We know things are only going to get bigger. We'll be responding to more alarms. The equipment we need, we're going to need more equipment. So to try to jury rig something that's not going to make the space any bigger and be confined to just having an engine there, it's ridiculous. It's crazy because we still have ladder 16. Where is ladder 16 going to be responding from? And that's the only place we can put it is in Station 3. We could say, okay, we'll let the next board decide on what they want to do. It's only going to get more expensive as time goes on. So I believe this board should bite the bullet and say, look, we're working for the future of the fire department, and this is what has to be done. We have to be able to have 2 pieces of apparatus in that firehouse. Whether or not we renovate that house and square off the archway and make it wider in order to be able to fit a ladder, a truck and an engine there, or knock the building down and build a firehouse with today's standards, so we're starting from scratch. And in my belief, that's the way to do it. I was down in Chester Heights for a lot of days with the builders who were there, when they were opening up walls, finding asbestos or things that they didn't expect to find, water coming into the basement or whatever. Now, and we still can't use the basement, and we still can't use the 2nd floor of that firehouse. So it's my belief that the best thing to do is to plan for the future and build a brand-new firehouse that can accommodate, like I said, an engine and a truck, a lieutenant, and 4 firefighters, minimum. And when Highland Associates was there last week, we told them what we wanted, what we needed. A training area, the kitchen, the bathrooms, the day room, workout area, washer and dryer. We told them, they had a list of things, the guy was writing them all down as we were telling him. So they, like the chief said, they built the firehouse, the new firehouse in Getty Square in Yonkers. That is a beautiful firehouse. It could accommodate our entire department in that one firehouse. Do we need one that big? Absolutely not. But if we're able to knock down the current firehouse and build a firehouse that, you know, depending on the setbacks, it would be big enough to accommodate the manpower we have down, that will be put down there, as well as the apparatus. And you'd be able to do training down there, not just classroom training, but other training as well. And, you know, as much as I don't like to spend money, eventually it's going to have to get done, whether we do it now or another board does it 5 or 10 years from now, and it's going to be twice as expensive then.
Chief, where are we at on Chester Heights?
So the work from B&B is done, so they did the heating systems, they did the bathrooms, they did the ADA ramp that goes outside. So they're done, everything's working properly. We do still get water in the basement, so I'm gonna propose to the board to maybe do a French drain, because we have a water containment system underneath the basement floor that goes to our sump pumps to keep the groundwater from coming up into the basement, but we're getting water through the foundation, like little cracks in the foundation. So there's certain areas where if we had a French drain and it could capture the water from the retaining, from the outside, you know, walls, then they would just have to extend those pipes like 3 feet to reach the outside walls, the foundation walls. As far as the apparatus, right now we have the new ladder 17 down there. We're going to do some more training on that apparatus next Thursday. And engine 29 is operating out of there as a frontline engine. So when the new tower ladder goes in service, the old ladder 17 will be down there as a spare rig. It'll be our spare ladder truck, and engine 29 will still remain down there.
Okay. And so with trying to remediate the water issues with Chester Heights, there's going to be some work. Going to have to dig, right?
In the basement, yeah, around the perimeters.
And so what about any projected work? So for me, I'm of the ilk that we finish Chester Heights completely. I don't want to face Mike Parisi anymore, as much as we love his company, but we want to get that completed for them once and for all.
Sure, it's not really affecting the operations because we don't have anything in the basement. It's just concrete walls and a concrete floor. We're not storing anything down there. There's no sheetrock walls or anything, so it's just concrete. So there's really not an issue with any sort of mold or anything like that. We do have a fan running 24 hours a day to, for the moisture to, go outside. So yeah, I would assume the Bronxville project, especially if we're designing a new firehouse, we're not going to be starting for 6 months to a year,
Right.
Because we have to go out to bid and get bonding counsel. So, I think that the drainage issues could be dealt with in a few months. We'd need an engineer to design it, go out for bid for the contractor, depending on the price. If it's over $35,000, we would have to go out for bid in the newspaper. If it's under $35,000, we would just get 3 written quotes and we could move forward. So, again, I don't know why we can't do engineering and planning work on the Bronxville Firehouse while we're doing the basement water issue in Chester Heights. So I don't think it would slow us down if we did do anything with Bronxville.
For me, my recommendation is to finish Chester Heights, put all the effort into that, be a little bit more deliberate, even if it takes a month or two to even talk to the engineers, and then also have a discussion with them about Main Street. To me, looking at the firehouses, Main Street looks like it's in much more need of this type of approach than Bronxville, which is a lovely firehouse.
Well, we would not be able to use the Bronxville Firehouse if the engineer says in 6 months that the floor is unsafe. There's nothing unsafe at headquarters. There is a lot of normal maintenance that needs to be done. We need to upgrade the kitchen. There's other work that needs to be done. The shop needs a new roof because we're getting water. We have some steel doors that are rusted out that we need to replace.
You need a new firehouse there.
We do, but I would say we need to address the Bronxville firehouse because we could, in 6 months, we may not be able to park a fire truck on the floor as opposed to headquarters, which, you know, it's on a slab, so it's not, there's no basement below where we park the fire trucks, either in the back or the front, so.
So if we accord ourselves at least 2 months, a month or
Yeah,
two, to look
sure.
at it,
Yeah.
there's no harm, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's my recommendation.
Yeah, Highland Associates can start, doing their preliminary drawings or whatever immediately. It's going to take them several months to get that done. So we're not talking about, knocking the firehouse down by the end of the year. I would be surprised if that happened. But, so I totally agree with you, Brian. We do need a new
We just don't want
headquarters.
to have them do the work twice and pay for it.
Exactly.
If it requires, so we do
Exactly.
it. Do we do it right the first time and not have what we've gone through with Chester Heights?
Exactly. That's why that's one of the reasons why I'm suggesting to knock Station 3 down and start with a brand-new house. Because we don't know, well, we do know. We know there's asbestos in that building and whatever else might be in there. But we have a basement that, aside from the records room, which could be put in a different location, and old alarm boxes and the second or third sets of turnout gear for the guys. There's nothing else in that basement that I can think of that needs to be in that house. It's just taking up space. So that's the way I feel. If any other commissioners have any thoughts on that, they'd be greatly appreciated.
Well,
So
to answer your
The
question,
next
Chief.
step would be to ask Highland Associates for a quote to design it. Like, they're not gonna start designing it unless we sign a contract with them. So the next step would be for me to ask them that it seems like the board, well, I've only heard from 2 of the board members, I'll wait till I see what the other board commissioners say. Do they want to, ask Highland for a proposal to design a new firehouse? 1 story, if Commissioner, I believe that's what Commissioner Ranelone was leaning to, a single story, or 2 story,
I agree with Paul. I think we needed just to look toward the future.
Do we have to bring, before we make an agreement to draw plans up, do we have to bring this to the public first?
No, it would be so if we're gonna bond it, which if we're building a new firehouse, like I said, I would imagine it's gonna be $10 million or whatever.
Yeah.
That the bond would go up for public referendum, so the public would get to vote on it like they do for the school district.
Right, but I'm saying
But
should-
that would be when we knew how much we were gonna borrow. So the
Okay.
public doesn't need to vote on the planning or the drawings or anything like
I
that.
know that, but I'm saying, should we bring it to their attention?
Well, I just wanted to get the consent, like I said, a straw poll from the board. Let's get the price from Highland, if it was $34,000 just to design the floor and go out to bid, I imagine a whole firehouse is gonna be over $100,000, right? So, let's get a price from them, and if we want, we can ask a price for another engineer or architect, just to see if they're in the right ballpark. Jamie, do those professional services, do those have to go out to bid? If it's gonna be, over the, 35,000? Okay. So with architects and lawyers and stuff, I don't think we're required to go out to bid for professional services. So, if it's the will of the board, I'll ask Highland Associates to set up a meeting and, then we can start planning what exactly we want to do. And then they can give us a price based on what we're asking them to design, 1-story, 2-story, classrooms, meeting rooms, mezzanine levels.
Now, the firehouse belongs to us, but the property belongs to the town?
No, so Bronxville is the only firehouse that we own. The other 4 firehouses are owned by the town of Eastchester and given to the fire department to conduct fire operations.
Okay.
If we ever stop using a firehouse, it reverts back to the town.
Right, I understand
Bronxville, I believe it was donated, I could be wrong, but that's the only one we own.
Okay.
That property and the building is owned by the fire district, so.
Well, I'd have to go along with Commissioner Ranelone, new firehouse. I mean, just what he said, what we saw down in Chester Heights happen. Opening walls, it was a disaster. I mean, it kept costing more money, especially with the times coming up. new apparatuses, new equipment. We're going to fall behind if we don't do that. I agree with you 100% there, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also in agreement, so.
Okay, so there's no cost to asking them to give us a quote or a proposal. So that, I don't think the board has to make a formal vote. I'll just ask them to give us a proposal. When it comes back and we're going to spend money, then the board will have to vote on it. So, okay?
Sure.
So I'll touch base with them.
And then at that point, we have to start talking about getting bond counsel, who's also recommended to get from Coughlin, because they can't do anything for us. They recommended, like, there's these municipal, like, financial liaisons. They're not very expensive, but they essentially, like, walk you through the whole bond process. There's 2 of them that they recommended that we should speak to, that work with your bond counsel. And then, like, obviously this, from the timing we're talking about, we're not talking about our December election. So you're
Yeah.
talking about a special election at some point next year, which will
Yep.
create a lot of work for you. So then we have to start all that. So there's not a lot of cost to us in 2024, but, you know, for budget purposes, the cost will kick in then, I mean, for 2025, but it will kick in 2026.
Right.
All right, one more item. Since Jamie mentioned that, you know, any budget items for next year, the next vehicle to get replaced is the firefighter and fire preventions. His car is a 2007 GMC Yukon, so I would like to move forward with planning for next year's budget to replacing that vehicle. A while back, when Commissioner Rabin was on the board, I believe he made a motion that future vehicles should be EV or electric vehicles. Does the current board wish for me to look into EVs? Kind of just did a seminar this week that I went to. There are grants available to, you know, for EVs and also EV charging stations and stuff. And I wouldn't want to have an emergency vehicle like a frontline, like captain's car or something like that as an EV, but for fire prevention that's used from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It can charge overnight. So does the board have any interest in me looking at, or should we just look to get another?
They stay on gas or diesel, whatever
Okay.
you use.
I'm
I
fine
mean,
either way.
If you want to explore it and see what's out there as an option.
Okay.
Less expensive or
I mean,
something.
let's see if we can get an electric vehicle. I mean, I'm not a big
Yeah, I
fan.
think they cost a little more, but there are some rebates. I think there's also tax credits, but I don't know that that would pertain to us since we're not paying sales tax on the
Doesn't hurt
vehicles.
to ask.
And then what's the cost for those batteries if they go dead? It's quite expensive when those batteries go dead.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with
I
that yet,
say stick to gas
so.
or diesel, whatever you're doing,
Well,
chief.
that may, we
You
may
could
we
look
may
into
very
it,
well
yeah,
still, but
yeah.
let's gather
Okay.
information just in all fairness, so we have.
Okay. And that would be, again, for next year's budget. I'm not looking
Okay.
for it this year. It would be, you know, but like Jamie said, she needs to know any big-ticket items to start preparing for next year.
Do we
So-
have any money for one now, Jamie, or not?
I mean, those are the.
Stop moving around
lines
things.
we're over, you know? Emergency equipment, vehicle maintenance, that's where we're spending, so.
Well, the 2007 Yukon, I mean, it's obviously got a few more, it's got some more life in it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you know, it does go for repairs, and you get these tricky little things like the airbag light comes on, and obviously we want to make sure that's working for him.
2007?
2007 GMC Yukon, yeah.
I mean,
So-
what is that? That's 16 years, 17 years? I'm like, 17 years.
Yep, yeah.
Why have a 17-year-old truck that I mean, the insurance we're paying on it, right, is as if it's a brand-new car.
I think we lowered the coverage I covered, didn't we? Because it was such an old.
We might have raised the deductibles
Yeah.
on some of them.
So,
So-
to me, it doesn't make sense to not just get it, and you'll probably do better with
Yeah, I'll do the research and we'll
auctioning it
see.
off, you know, at the present time,
Mhm.
right? So I'm of the ilk to just get it. Yeah, I would not wanna not have, good equipment. That's,
And Station 5, if they park that vehicle in the driveway, we could have the charging station, you know, right outside there, so. I mean, I'll contact a few dealerships and see what they're going for,
Right,
so.
it's fine.
Jamie's working her magic right now to see if she can do it.
So that's all I had, additional items.
We can see if they hold off until next year to buy this.
Yeah, I'm not looking, like, if I did want to do it, I would have the information for September for Jamie when she's preparing the budget, so that gives me the summer to talk to dealerships and, you know.
The lieutenant did a fantastic job with the,
Sure, Mike, what's up?
the lieutenant did a fantastic job with the Gator.
Yeah,
Maybe they just
Yeah.
delegate
Look,
that
we
out.
all learned from our past mistakes at Chester Heights.
Oh, yeah.
Learned big time. Commissioner Ranalone knows what he is talking about, and I think some of you guys know what you are talking about. Not that I think, I know you know. Nobody likes to spend money, but the future is going. It's not 1950 where you have one engine, 2 firefighters, or 1 firefighter on the back step driving a small engine with a 25-gallon tank. The future of the fire service is going forward with bigger and better equipment. This is not a metropolis of an area that we live in. We live in a small town, but we want to be protected. We want to have a fire service that's going to protect us 24/7 as they do now. But putting a Band-Aid on it or putting a string around it is not going to solve the problem. Get the estimates, get the engineering report in, and then form a committee and see how you're going to go about it.
Exactly right.
Doing what we're doing in the past, we could have tore down Chester Heights for what we paid and built a new fire station.
We should have, right. I know.
Okay?
Probably even just a portion
New
of
fire
the money
station.
spent,
For the
right?
water in the basement, you don't have to worry about taking a shower. It's never gonna come up that far. Because that area at one time was a pond and was farmland. And the water that's probably coming up there from the basement is from the reservoir that's up above by the hutch. So this trickles down. But you have to go and think about the future. Don't think about going backwards. We have to go forwards to protect what? Life and property in the town. Nobody likes to spend money, but when, you know, the things happen, buildings burn, they want answers.
Yeah, nobody here is saying that. I'm actually saying I want to be
understand.
even more deliberate, and
Right.
if you told me tomorrow that I need 2 brand-new firehouses, I want to be told by a professional that I need 2 brand-new
I understand
firehouses,
that.
right?
But
I-
let's-
You were here frustrated for 7, 8 years or more.
I was frustrated because
but-
things weren't done the right way.
Understood.
Maybe if I paid more attention as a taxpayer, maybe things might have been done the right way, and you guys weren't involved in that.
Right.
But let's go forward,
Yeah,
and
we
let's
agree.
do it the right way.
We agree.
Let's charge and let's, see what it's going to.
Yeah, we
What's
agree.
this?
We all want to take a
We
deliberate
want to make
look.
sure that, the fire service is the best, which it is in our town. I can't talk about anybody else's, because we live here, night and day. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. We're
Actually,
gonna
so-
get you involved in the next construction, just so you know. We're getting you involved in the next construction, just so you know.
Any other board comments?
Yeah,
Yes.
I got a,
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead, you go first.
a couple of comments. I know everybody says that I'm always mention fire hydrants being blocked. I think about 2 weeks ago, I called headquarters, and Captain Calby sent out engine 27, went on the corner of Maynard Street and Wallace Street. Upon going there, they found brooms, mop sticks, and a garbage barrel all against the fire hydrant, and they removed it. So I do want to thank Captain Calby for sending that out, and I told the lieutenant, in the event that something was to occur, you're going to be in a lot of trouble over here. People have the habit of just, that's the hitching post. You're going to be in trouble someday to the public. Don't put anything against that hydrant. We're going to be in trouble. If those men would have pulled up and if there was anything on that corner, they would have been in deep trouble over there that day. And thankfully, they removed all the stuff, just pushed it aside from it, and I thank them, Chief. And also, on June 28th is the Mamaroneck Day Parade. And I want to request if we could use the maintenance truck to pull our hose pump. And I'm hoping that the board will approve a piece of apparatus to go there that evening.
Yeah, well, I mean, the board usually authorizes that. I mean, as long as you're the driver, as a
Yeah.
commissioner, you're
Yeah.
covered under the insurance. So, yeah, as long as the board wants to approve that. He'll drive the pickup truck,
Yeah.
one of the shop
Well,
pickup trucks.
Did you want to drive it?
I probably couldn't.
You could, yeah, sure, why not? And
Probably not capable.
finally, before we close, I just want to say to Commissioner Sarasi, happy St. Anthony's Day to you too.
Same to you.
So hopefully that all goes well for the summer and safe summer to everybody. Watch your barbecues, please. Keep them away from the house and enjoy yourself.
I think tomorrow we have the flag retirement
But yes,
ceremony.
I got to say, we having a flag burning ceremony. I did mention to you, Chief, we
Yep,
could have
we'll have
police
someone there.
apparatus there.
I think we're gonna have 2 or 3.
Leroy Gregory, right?
At the Leroy Gregory Post at 5 o'clock, it's going to start. But I think right now, the veterans are going to just maybe burn something in a little pot and do it at another time because of the bad weather that's supposed to be
Right,
coming.
right. Okay.
And they're going to have their refreshments inside as of right now because the police are doing it and they're doing everything inside because they're afraid of the
Calling for
storm.
rain.
Hopefully,
Heavy rain, maybe.
yeah, hopefully we don't get it, but that's it. But you, the Board of Fire Commissioners, are all invited that
Yeah, I'm
are,
gonna come by.
okay? And extend it to Chief Yazzo. I
Yep.
know he's not here today. And Joe, also to you.
Thank you,
That's my
That's
report.
5 PM tomorrow, right?
5 PM.
thank you.
What date is that?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
Flag Day.
Flag Day, 14th of June.
Okay.
You're up, Paul.
All right, my monthly report. On May 10th, attended the local 916 retirement dinner at the Surf Club. Very nice time. On May 11th, attended the annual Tuckahoe Police Memorial Services at Tuckahoe Village Hall, then attended the annual Eastchester Police Memorial at Town Hall. On May 16th, attended annual Veterans Memorial at Eastchester High School. On May 19th, marched in the Eastchester Memorial Day Parade. March 26th, attended Memorial Mask and Ceremony at the Volunteer Monument. On May 27th, marched in the Bronxville Memorial Day Parade. May 28th, attended firefighter Rock Hill's retirement lunch at headquarters. Also spent time at Station 4 while lockers were put together and front door installed. On June 7th, along with the chief, assistant chief, and Captain Olivier, met with representatives from Highland Associates to discuss rebuild of Station 3. And June 9th, attended Volunteer Scholarship Awards presentation at Fogarty's and attended the Historical Society's reopening of the marble schoolhouse that we had occupied for,
2+ years.
yeah. And that's it on my report.
Thanks, Paul.
I just want to say to Lieutenant Costanza, thank you for attending our memorial service on 2 weeks ago. And Chief, thank you for sending the engine out there for us also.
Any other comments? No? No. Okay, on that note, it is now 7:58. I'll call for an adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. See you next month.
Okay.